So in a lot of countries, top universities are the ones that are doing a lot of the bigger research. In America, out of the top 10, most of them are from colleges. There are a couple businesses and a couple like research firms, right? And a couple of these have had some scandals, some issues recently. There was a researcher who was found at Harvard University to be fudging some of their research. They don't know exactly why this was happening to this one researcher, but the articles that they were writing seemed to be a little bit skewed in some ways. The research was not correct, or the reviews were not done properly, or the, not abstract, what's it called, when they actually do the experiments?
The data.
The data was not written down correctly. So there's like a lot of inconsistencies. Causing this person to be obviously doubted, and there will be consequences for those. And there were consequences for the president of Stanford, who has been released from their position following the realization that they had a higher number of incorrect research papers out there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the president claimed that this was a mistake and they just didn't do the procedures the best that they could at the time, and it was not intentional. But since the numbers seem to be quite high, according to the average for this one person, they think that there might have been a little bit of fudging for nefarious purposes as well. Now, nothing can be proved, so they were just released from their position rather than any sort of like, police involvement or anything, but still. It seems like presidents and top research institutes having all these issues, like, can we even trust anymore this type of stuff that's happening? What are the more top institutes in England? And do you know what research they are famous for?
I guess in terms of universities, it's definitely Oxford and Cambridge. They're at the top of their game. I guess I don't really pay that much attention, so I don't know exactly what they're famous for, but I know that particularly Oxford University was in the news a lot around the lead up to they were developing a vaccine. So they got a ton of government funding, and they'd already got, a fantastic medical department, biological research department. So they made some amazing advances in that field, which were highly lauded at the time. They helped to, which vaccine was it? The AstraZeneca one?
Oh, could be, yeah.
I can't remember if it had a different name. Anyway, so that was...
What was it? AstraZeneca, Moderna, and...
Pfizer.
So I feel like it's AstraZeneca.
Yeah. Anyway, so but we've also got, in terms of sort of like sociological research, there's this company, it's a proper business called YouGov. It's a state-owned business, and they are supposed to be some impartial social research company, and they produce a lot of big data for the government, which apparently is very, the data has been highly respected, not much scandal surrounding them. So,
yeah, I mean, to think of research having a few hucksters in there, and you're like, what is trustable and what is not trustable, trustworthy and what is not trustworthy? You said lauded at the time, and there might be research where we think is amazing right now, and then we find out was falsified years later.
Yes, what if we just don't know what's going on behind the scenes? I guess it's a bit more controversial. When it's academic institutions, they are seen often as more independent and more unbiased and fair and rigorous. Do you think that research performed by business schools is useful? Is it more useful? Is it less?
I think research
biased?
of all kind can be very useful if it is done, like you said, in an unbiased way, where they are looking to find the answer rather than looking to answer the question they want, or in the way they want. I know that's a huge issue. There's research done on sugar by Coca-Cola. It's like, or maybe I shouldn't say the name. There's research done on sugar by a top soda brand name. And it's like, can you trust the results that sugar is okay? Maybe not. So it's kind of like, what is the ulterior motive? What are the morals behind it? And with business schools specifically, as long as they do the research correctly, yeah, it's useful because it either shows that this is wrong or not happening and we don't have to worry about it, or there's something new in the world and cool and we should look at it.
But it seems to be like the cutthroat competition to get funding for a research paper. You can't, even if you're an amazing scientist and you've got an amazing idea, you can't even do your research if nobody wants to fund you. Correct. So there's the government bodies and the university bodies, but there's also businesses offering money to fund your research if you research into the product they want to sell. And then maybe not explicitly, but is implicitly then there an incentive to find this business the results that they want to find.
This is my number one complaint with research, is that it is highly biased because it's funded by bias. And research should be boring. It should be absolutely blasé with no sort of emotion. And people want emotion and people want big headlines.
And they want money. They want to sell things using your research.
Yeah. Research finds that you can buy this product forever and you're okay. You know, it's like, it's great, but it's not true.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Well, nice. Not to be outdone by this article, we should try to outdo our own selves and go down to that vocabulary below or wherever the vocabulary is and study it and use it because it will be useful in everyday life. And you can impress everybody with your new vocabulary in your next research paper or whatever you write these days. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Prevalent.
Prevalent.
Insidious.
Insidious.
Huckster.
Huckster.
Moral hazard.
Moral hazard.
Cutthroat.
Cutthroat.